Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wine with Jimmy. This is wine education on the likes of YouTube and beyond. Thank you for clicking by. So, I follow key text and key educational qualifications for wine. So, if you are studying wine, you'll find these very useful. But if you're just enjoying wine, then you will find these rather useful as well. Any comments or questions about today's topic on service temperatures of wines, please get in touch. Perhaps you have different methods, different temperatures. What do you like? What don't you like? Please do get in touch. Okay, well, let's rock and roll talking about how to serve wine and service temperatures. So, yes, this is series 2 of storage and service of wine on how to serve wine. And this is a big one. It's a 6-part series, and all parts 1 to 5 are available as free content. But part 6, which is going through examination questions around service and storage of wine, will only be available to those of you who subscribe to my e-learning portal. That's over at www.winewithjimmy.com. You'll find information there to get all that added goodies, ad-free, and lots of added goodies for teaching and research and studying. Well, let's rock and roll. First of all, just a word about what room temperature actually means. Now, the Oxford English Dictionary states that the room temperature is conventionally taken at about 20 degrees Celsius. That's 68 degrees Fahrenheit. But it might actually surprise you to discover that what's referred to as room temperature for wines might actually leave you grabbing a sweatshirt, because it's actually around 15 to 18 degrees Celsius, which is 59 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit. That's quite low, in fact. So, what we've actually come to expect as normal room temperature is quite a bit warmer than the optimal serving temperatures for wines. Now, with the widespread use of air conditioning and central heating, underfloor heating, and so on, rooms can often be too hot or even sometimes too cold for the service of wine. So let's talk about room temperature to begin with and what wines fit that. So room temperature is often the recommended temperature for full-bodied or medium-bodied red wine, as you'll see from the bottom of the table on the slide. So 15 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius, medium to full-bodied reds. If reds like this are too cold, they'll often taste thin and harsh, often accentuating the tannin, so overcompensating on it. The gentlest way to warm them is to allow the bottle to warm up slowly, so if you have patience and time, or by holding the bowl of the glass in your hands, and the heat is gently transferring from your hands to the wine in the glass. Do not warm reds on radiators or sticking it in the oven. I have heard that before, as the sudden exposure to extreme heat can cause very big damage, which you cannot come back from. Now, red wines that gradually reach temperatures in excess of 18 degrees Celsius will or can appear to lose their freshness, and the flavors can become a little bit muted. Once they are cooled down again, though, they regain their balance. So if you are in a country where you find that you have subtropical climate conditions, or annually it's very warm, so you're typically looking at temperatures around this and above constantly during the day, for example, you'll often need to use a fridge to cool it ready for service, or even a quick jaunt in an ice bucket. Yes, this does happen. And I've gone through this before in places like Malaysia, Singapore, the Canary Islands, where wines can be often served a little bit too warm. Next up are light-bodied reds. So chilled reds are light-bodied, high in acidity, with lower tannin, oak, and alcohol, with fruity flavors which are rather fresh rather than ripe. So, along with the added element of refreshment, something like a Beaujolais comes into mind, and chilling Beaujolais suppresses any of that sort of alcohol or tannin, and it allows the wine's trademark bright fruit and floral flavors to take the center stage. Part of what differentiates Beaujolais from other light reds is that kind of earthy, peppery, savory character that one can find. And these flavors could be overwhelmed by the rich fruitiness if the wine is served too warm. But when it's chilled, it can have beautiful, distinct characteristics, and that all comes together. And this is generally sort of, Beaujolais, Beaujolais Supérieur, Beaujolais Village. Some of the actual villages may be served more towards room temperature, but it depends, and of course, on the style. A little word on ice buckets before we get to the next one. Ice buckets or wine coolers are often used to keep white, pink, and sparkling wines cold. An ice bucket should be filled about 3/4 full in total, with equal quantities of ice and water, and that's so that the bottle is fully surrounded by iced water. Of course, you frequently don't see this. You'll often see bottles just sitting in ice, and there's very actual little contact of the ice to the bottle, and therefore it actually takes longer to cool down. So it's better to always submerge the ice in water, and therefore most of the wine is covered by that very ice cold water. So you've got to remember that air acts as an insulator, and a bottle in ice alone will chill very slowly. But also be careful. Over chilling could be overkilling the wine, and it can mask the flavors. And we see this frequently, and sadly, at a lot of trade tastings, typically at very busy trade tastings, where the wine is left in the ice for too long. It gets taken out, served, and the wine is freezing cold, and you can't taste much. So you'll have to come back later to retaste. If this is the case, please do kindly mention it to whoever is serving it, because they will realize that and they'll take that out of the ice bucket. And of course, you might be doing this at home, so make sure it's not over chilled. Timing wise, it depends, but probably something like about half an hour or even less than that, 20 to 30 minutes in an ice bucket would be enough, depending on what temperature you are looking to reach, of course. Now, sparkling white and pink wines are best served chilled. Ice buckets are used, of course, but there are differences between the styles here. So you can see a full-bodied white, such as an oaked Chardonnay, might only need to be lightly chilled. You see, I've highlighted that at the bottom of this trio on your table. So something like 10 to 13 degrees Celsius, that's 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Medium-bodied, or even light-bodied whites like Pinot Grigio, Muscadet, Sauvignon Blanc can be served cooler, chilled at 7 degrees Celsius to 10 degrees Celsius. Okay. There are certainly over-chilling and over-killing. Again, be very careful with that. Well-chilled for sparkling wines, you'll see here, typically 6 to 10 or 6 to 8, somewhere around that is fine. And then finally, sweet wines. Sweet wines, including things like sauternes, late harvest wines, Tokai, ice wines, they typically have a higher concentration of sugar and flavors. Serving these wines too warm can emphasize the sweetness and alcohol, often leading to a very increased viscosity, a cloying character, if you will. Serving them too cold could mute the complexity, but chilling them correctly at 6 to 8 degrees Celsius can bring out the acidity and therefore the freshness to counterbalance the sweetness in beautiful harmony. So that's what we do for that. Maybe it's a good idea to invest in a thermometer. Maybe a good idea for your service. Okay, that service temperature is complete. Please do join me for part 2 when I discuss all the types of stemware, glassware that you can, of course, serve your wines in. Any comments or questions about this video regarding service temperatures, please do get in touch. Comment on this video below. Make sure you click like because it helps, and make sure you click subscribe to get our updates. And if you do find yourself in the United Kingdom, come and say hello for a class, glass, or bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Thank you very much.